Michael, look, it really does feel like it's a pretty big day ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I think once we get the first round of games out of the way, then we have situations like we have today where obviously teams are playing for qualification, Denmark and France, and teams are playing to stay in the competition. And I think that's when we start to see potentially teams take a little bit more risk, and the game will open up a little bit, hopefully.
The other thing, Richie, is you've got 3 teams who can get through, but you could have a big one going out. You look a little bit, I know we'll have a chat about Argentina later on, but you could have a big team in big trouble tonight.
I think one of the features of the first round of games, there was a few teams, France, Uruguay, Denmark, England, they won games, but they received criticism for the way in which they performed. And I think in the post-match discussion, performance is really important. When you get to the start of the second round games, sometimes you just really appreciate the fact that you've 3 points, because you're not one of those teams who's facing a scenario where not getting a win means you could be going home. So I know we should be talking about the first 2 games, but the one tonight, I cannot wait for. Argentina were my kind of outside sneaky feeling of the so-called big teams who would underperform. I would worry for them.
All right, well, we shall see. Lots more to come. That one, of course, at 7 o'clock. Before that, let's take a look at this first game today, Denmark and Australia. And Michael, you're going to take us through this Danish team.
Yeah, Denmark weren't convincing in the first game. Certainly Peru merited at least a draw. If we look at the team here, some known names, this Michael in goals. They've got Premier League players in Christensen and Eriksen, obviously, as well. Dalsgaard plays in the Championship for Brentford. But they've been, you know, they're so reliant on Christian Eriksen. They were workmanlike in the first game. I like Poulsen off the right-hand side. He's a big 6'4" winger, plays for Leipzig, scored the goal. But they will consider themselves a little bit fortunate, I think, to have the 3 points. And the strength in this team for me is basically the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs, and obviously Eriksen.
And the one thing, as you say, when Eriksen plays, they play, but when he doesn't play, they seem to struggle.
Yeah, they just lack that little bit of creativity. You know, Delaney's workmanlike in midfield. He's a good player in the Bundesliga. Shona comes in for Kist, who got injured in the first game. So it's the team that finished the first game, and it's actually interesting. I think 9 of the team that played here against Ireland in the playoffs start again. So he's been consistent with selections, Harida, but they are so dependent on Christian Eriksen. I think he scored 8 or 9 goals in qualification, having been heavily criticised playing for the national team. I think he went somewhere nearly 6 years without an international goal. It all came together for him in this qualification, and you know, so far in the first game he was a little bit disappointed, but he did provide the key moment in terms of the assist for the goal.
Yeah, and look, I mean, just on that point, you can see him warming up there, Richie. I mean, if he is going to play today, you feel like Denmark can win this.
And he's crucial. I mean, the coach is openly saying that their strategy and their formation is all about maximising what he can bring to the table. And I don't think that's being disrespectful or disregarding what the other players do. It's just an acknowledgement that he can reach a level that the others can't. The flaw with that is he's the obvious focal point for any opposition to try and stop him playing, which is what Australia have said very openly that they're planning to do here. They're going to try and stop him playing by trying to prevent the supply line to him. So we'll see how they do that. But if he does reach anywhere near his top level, like, we're in for a show, but I assume Denmark will succeed.
But from Van Werk's point of view, you know, he can be open and saying that, listen, this is what we're going to do. But we know from an Irish point of view, it's not that simple.
Well, OK, if you want to bring in the Irish performance, maybe there were certain things that you don't do, which we did, which I think would play into their hands. And I think the Denmark coach after that game actually publicly, which I think was a bit of a snide remark, but he publicly commented, thanked Martin O'Neill for vacating the space of the pitch, which is the space that you specifically would want Eriksen to get on the ball. So I would assume Australia are not going to be as naive and as daft as that. So we'll see what they do, because it was done to reasonable success in the opening game. I think Peru did it quite well. Michael's going to show a piece shortly that you try and kind of deny him space and keep an eye on him and keep his movement. But Australia today have also said they're going to try and prevent the players getting the ball to him.